We recently tapped into background security check, and today we rev into another docket within the security industry. I'm talking about backup, guarding, investigative technology and canine or dogs. On Women in Business today, I'm talking to Annette Kimite, who is the Managing Director at SENECA Security. Women are hardly heard of within the security industry. What gap did you want to fill, and how have you achieved that so far?
By the time I got into the security space, which is more than 18 years ago, there were very few women in security, very few women in private security, very few women in national security. So when I got into this space, it was quite lonely, because you'd enter a number of meetings and you're actually the only woman, or very few, or maybe the other woman with you is only the one serving tea. So once I got into this space, I really wanted to see that I'm not alone, that I also come with an army. So one of our goals, particularly at SENECA, and this is a journey we started in the year 2016, was to how to attract more women into the business, how to keep them, because we realized that there was a point we were able to attract them, but along the way when they started their families, they drop out of employment. So we also wanted to attract them, to keep them, and then to grow them. And even beyond my company, we also wanted to see how we could inspire the rest of the industry, the private security industry, to have more women entering the security field, to have more women doing non-soft roles. You know, when we say non-soft roles, we mean women in technology, women in mobile response or alarm response. We want to see more women handling canines or the dogs. We want to see more women in leadership positions. We want to see more women as technicians installing CCTV and the lights. And we wanted to see more women on boards where they could be able to make more impactful policies and be able to implement them along the way.
Right, as a female entrepreneur, how do you set meaningful goals that lead to the milestones that you've achieved so far?
I am passionate about strategic management. I believe in having a vision, but that vision has to come true. So as an entrepreneur, I think it's very important to have a strategic plan. I think it's also critical to have a very good team, a best talent to be able to deliver that plan. An entrepreneur should also be able to invest in learning and development, because some of these skills are not known to everybody, and then have ways of rewarding achievement of goals, as well as also even those who didn't achieve the goals but tried and even failed. How do we reward failure? Those really help an entrepreneur in achieving their goals.
Now tell me, how does one grow a self-sustaining business by design rather than by chance?
So success cannot just be by chance. You know, success is where opportunity meets hard work. So other than having passion for something, it's very important for an entrepreneur to have a plan of action as to how they're going to be able to achieve that. For example, our plan right now is to be able to move the company from what is known as a guarding business to a pure technology company, and actually leading in artificial intelligence. So that is the vision. Is that shared within my team? It's always important to have a plan of action. Again, invest in training, because for us, we want to move to technology and artificial intelligence. There's a lot of training that's needed to be able to understand what is the leading technology in the world. How do we deploy that? And then thirdly, it's very important to have a team, the best team possible, to be able to deliver that plan of action.
Okay, every entrepreneur has a story to tell when it comes to the development of business systems and strategy. What's the best way to go about this to avoid serious financial distress that might lead to business failure?
So number one, it's very important to understand your current financial position. What are you able to do currently, and what can you be able to do in future? Secondly, it's also very important to understand the market. There's a lot of lots of laws that keep changing that have a direct impact on business. So you also need to understand laws generally within the country. For example, the Employment Act, you also need to learn the laws that affect your specific sector and the costs associated with that. And then you also need to be able to look at what are the global trends in the world related to your sector. So for example, for us in security, technology is the key thing right now, as well as also discussions around artificial intelligence. So you should be able to ask yourself, in 10 years, will what I'm doing be able to be done maybe by a robot or a computer? And how do I start preparing my business ahead for that?
As a successful entrepreneur, how do you ensure that you evolve within your business from doing the work to teaching others how to do it?
Yeah. So I know as an entrepreneur, sometimes you start and you are doing everything. You're marketing, you are an accountant, but as the business grows, it's important to start bringing in professionals because you cannot be an expert in everything. And sometimes if you play, for example, if you don't understand your tax laws, you could land in very serious legal trouble. So it's good to be able to delegate because number one, you save a lot of time doing mistakes. Number two, you grow a team, and not just a team that is motivated, that is able to take up challenges, that is able to run on their own. Number three, it prevents burnout. As an entrepreneur, you can really get burnout because you want to do everything and be everyone and sort every client's problem. And as the business grows bigger, you cannot be able to handle all that. And then it also really helps in preparing your future leadership. So when you delegate more, you can be able to see potential skills and abilities in somebody and be able to grow them over the years. And they can even be your own successor, and you can now start other businesses and leave other people to run other businesses for you.
Is there room for aspiring women in the security industry to invest in? And also, how would you advise them to go about the process of setting up?
So there are numerous business opportunities for women in security, not just in what people know as private security as guarding alone. There are so many opportunities for you to be able to do investigations, even forensic investigations. You can also be able to do VIP protection. You can be able to do cyber security. You can be able to set up a canine company which specializes in dog services and much more. And the advice would be, number one, other than just incorporating the company, you need to be registered with the authority, the Private Security Regulations Authority. And then it's good for you to be able to identify the niche, the market that you want to serve. Do you want to serve government, for example? Do you want to serve private sector? And even in private sector, which sector in specific do you want to focus on? Banking. So it's a good starting point. Then you can now diversify and offer more services and products along the way. Other than just having a passion, have a plan. Have a written down plan that you can be able to read and see, this is what exactly I want to achieve, and so can your team. Number two, invest in your networks. So many businesses have good ideas, but they cannot be sold to another person because you don't know who to be able to sell to. So join associations, join training programs, and build your network. And then number three is to tell women in business that it's not easy, but it's not impossible either. Buckle up. There are going to be highs and lows, COVIDs and all that, but business is possible and possible for women.